chosen ones, empaths. How to stop ruminating about the narcissist? It's a question we all ask ourselves. It's a constant pressure on our minds when we're ruminating about the narcissist. And one of the ways that I was able to try and nip it in the bud earlier on was stop with the ifs, buts, and maybes. You see, in our mind, we start to think, oh, if I done this, oh, but if this happened, or maybe if that happened. And I want you to understand that those ifs, buts, and maybes are from the devil. They're from the devil to send your mind on a wild goose chase. We can't change what's happened, but we can change our future. We can't change what's happened. What's happened has happened, and it is in the past, right? But we can change our future. And I promise you that as time goes on, and I always say this, time doesn't heal, but through time you learn how to deal with it. The rumination will naturally occur. It will naturally occur that it becomes more of a reflection than a rumination. But one thing you've got to take into an account, right, is you are an abuse victim. You have been traumatized by this person. This is why the enemy, the devil, is trying to preoccupy your mind, reminding you and running rampant in your mind about what they're doing now, who they're with now. You need to cut it at its root. You can't be wondering what they're doing now. You just can't be. You need to tell yourself, I don't care what they're doing now. I don't care who they're with now. You know what I'm saying? And when you're getting memories of things that played out and you're thinking, oh, maybe if I handled it this way, maybe if I handled it this way, cut it at the root. There's no maybe. There's no if. You ain't changing nothing that happened. What you need to understand is what you know about the narcissist, you know about the narcissist. What they've done covertly and they've kept secret. What they've done covertly and kept secret. You know, there's no point in even finding out. You know, there's no point even finding out. What's it going to bring you in gain? It's only going to bring you more pain. You know? If you're on these videos now and you know you're dealing with a narcissist, you're a step ahead than I was. You're a step ahead than I was, because I didn't know I was dealing with a narcissist. If you've got it in your forefront of your mind that you're dealing with a narcissist, you're 100% sure that these lot are narcissists, right? Or even 99%. If you're sure, I shouldn't even put a percentage on it, because I know the enemy will try whisper in and try and make you think that you're the narcissist and stuff like that. That's what tends to happen with people. If you believe you're dealing with this narcissist, then you need to focus on you. You need to you can't admit is if that's the right word. What I mean is, like, you can't release any energy towards them, good or bad energy. You need to focus this energy in on yourself. You need to put yourself through self-love. They're never going to love you the way you want them to love you. They're never going to love you the way you want them to love you. These lot don't know how to love. Right? So that might trigger you to start thinking, but what was true? Did they ever love me? These lot loved you the best that they could love you. But they're not capable of loving in the way that you need to be loved. Right? They're capable of some effed up kind of love, some messed up, obsessive kind of love, but they're not capable of giving you the love that you deserve, right? And it's the constant replaying what happened in your head, the situations. I promise you, with time it will fade. But you are an abuse victim, and you need to understand that this will be with you for some time. Replaying the thoughts in your head. But like, if you're rushing out there meeting someone new, and you've got all of this stuff going on inside your head, it's not going to work out good. Even if you meet someone good and kind and honest and true, you're going to ruin that potential match with someone by you not being fully healed. You need to focus on yourself now, solely. You need to focus on your children, if you have any, solely. And every time you get a thought of the narcissist, I want you to look at it like it's the devil trying to creep in and remind me of them. Because ultimately, the devil wants you to go and circulate around your mind to eventually let them back in. So the devil will keep knocking with these thoughts. Remember, our mind is not ours. It's not solely ours. Now, this might be a bit deep for some of you lot, but it's what I believe, and take it how you want to take it. But we suffer with intrusive thoughts as human beings. We suffer with thoughts. And our thoughts are not always our own. Sometimes our thoughts are from the enemy. And I believe that the enemy uses the narcissist and memories of the narcissist to trigger emotional reactions from us. Like, they may remind us of the narcissist and we start abusing alcohol, abusing drugs, or going out and doing stuff that we wouldn't normally do just off a whim from the narcissist, you see. Another reason why you're strongly connected to this, even though you may be separated now, even though you may be separate, you're living separate lives, they've moved on, or whatever, even if they're living separate lives from you, and you've been intimate with them, there's something called soul ties. And these soul ties are responsible for, you can have good soul ties or you can have bad soul ties. And these lot attach bad soul ties to us, demonic soul ties to us, right? So it's like a cord attached from you to them in the spiritual realm. That's why, you know, you might be thinking about them and then suddenly they call your phone. Things like this will happen. Or they might text you or whatever, because you're connected on a spiritual, on the spiritual plane, you're still connected because you've been intimate with each other. So a way of severing the soul ties, or the trauma bond, as people call the trauma bond, right? And I think the trauma bond is actually soul ties. The way you sever that is you need to understand in your head, in your mind, in your heart, that this person was sent into your life for your destruction. They were never sent into your life for the good of you. They were never sent in your life for the benefit of you. There's a higher order at play here. And it's even beyond the grand schemes of the narcissist. The devil uses them and occupies them to be vessels to him. They're vessels to the devil. And they act in accordance with what the devil wants. That's why they lie, they cheat, they steal, they manipulate. They act on characteristics of the devil himself. And they act with these characteristics towards us, which causes us pain, which causes us rumination, which causes us to ruminate about them, start thinking about them over and over again, going through things in our head, replaying things, going through it, because of their demonic characteristics. If this person was a loving person, a kind person, you would have fond memories of them. You wouldn't be scarred in your mind and your heart you wouldn't have it scarring from them. You wouldn't have the trauma bond, the demonic soul ties. You wouldn't have this attribute around you. So you wouldn't be ruminating about them in the same way. Because of the trauma they've inflicted on you, this is why it's so severe in your mind. This is why it's so imprinted on your mind, because you are an abuse victim. Many survivors of narcissistic abuse suffer with post-traumatic stress disorder. You suffer with post-traumatic stress disorder because you're going through something that no one understands. When you speak to your friends, when you speak to someone else, they'll say, oh yeah, it's a breakup, it's all right, get back out there, get back out there, you'll be all right. You know, they'll think that they talk to you like it's just a breakup. They don't understand what you're dealing with. You were dealing with wounds. You're dealing with wounds throughout the whole relationship. These people were harming you throughout the whole relationship. Even when you thought it was so-called good times, they were secretly trying to destroy you. They were secretly laying in wait and destroying you. They were secretly laying in wait to pounce on you when they first met you. But you need to try and cut it off. You need to cut off the trail of thought. So when you start thinking about them, if you're getting things like, if you're thinking about what they're doing now, who they're with, you need to just replay a message back in your head and say, I don't care what they're doing now. I don't care who they're with. And if you repeat that to yourself numerous times, you're going to get into a pattern. You're going to develop your own pattern. So therefore, when the thought arises, what are they doing now? Who they're with? Are they sleeping with someone? You say to yourself, I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what they're doing. God can see all what they're doing. I don't need to even see what they're doing. I don't need to look at their social media. I don't need to know what they're doing. I don't care what they're doing. And imagine you say that to yourself 10 times. I don't care what they're doing. It's going to become an instinct for you to be like, I don't care what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And if you're replaying memories of bad times in your head, you got to say, there's no ifs, buts, or maybes. I can't change what's happened. There's no point me wasting energy on this. This energy I could be putting into my purpose. I could be putting this energy elsewhere. Everything is energy. E equals MC squared. Everything is energy. You know, every great invention starts with a thought at first. It comes with a thought. So you're thinking something, then you turn it into, it materializes and it turns into something. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you're haunted by good memories of the narcissist. And if you're being haunted by good memories of the narcissist and you're plagued, I should have probably said this earlier, but if you're being plagued with the good times, the so-called good times, you know, the times when you were happy together, the times when you used to laugh together, and, you know, you're thinking of those times, you've got to think that was someone who was wearing a mask. You know, they were mirroring you. You were basically falling in love with yourself. You need to understand that. You know, they were mirroring everything you do, your cues, your emotional responses. They were mirroring you. Sometimes they don't even get the joke, but they'll just laugh. That's the type of person they are. Ha 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 ha. They don't get the joke. They're not someone to say, oh, I don't get the joke. They don't want to be looked at like a fool, so they'll just pretend to laugh. And that's as simple as layman terms as I can put it, you know. But I'm trying to say that they mirrored you, all your emotional responses, all of your emotional cues. They studied you like a degree. They studied your psychology. They studied your insecurities. They studied everything about you. That's what they used to do in their eye. You could just look in their eyes. They're dead inside. They used to study you like a degree and look for these emotional responses, these emotional cues to mirror back to you what you want to perceive. They mirrored back to you the person you wanted them to be. They were like a figment of your imagination. You had an idea in your head of the person you want to be with, and this person was the recipient. They were on the other end of that, and they more or less could work out what you wanted inside your imagination, and they portrayed that to you. So if you're having fond memories of them, you need to understand that these people was nothing but liars and manipulators. And it's not anything bad to do with you why they done it. They done this because you're such a character to be around. You're such a blessing to be around. They wanted to be in your company. They desired to be in your company. They liked being close to you. They loved your supply. They loved it. They loved the potent supply you used to give them. So they needed to be pretenders. If you've ever heard of the term, this is what I always hear people talk about in the narcissistic sphere. They talk about how we used to walk on eggshells. But, and I've made a video on this, I can't remember what it's called, otherwise I would tell you, but they actually walk on eggshells. We walk on eggshells too, to a certain degree, but they actually walk on eggshells around us, because through the whole relationship they were pretending to be something they're not. And oftentimes when their mask slips, not by any choice of their own, their mask slips, you know. It's like a ship sailing along the ocean, and then there's holes in the deck, and they're trying to plug all the holes in the bottom of the deck to stop the water from seeping in, but they can't control it, and their mask slips and it breaks, you know, and then you see the real them. That's what it's like with the narcissist. But they were walking on eggshells through the entire relationship to be in your presence. They pretended to be someone they're not. Imagine every day pretending to be someone you're not, to be in someone's company. How sick and twisted is that? This is why we don't need to let these lot occupy our minds. We don't need to let them occupy our thought patterns. They're gonna be in your head. I'm not denying that. They're gonna be in your head because you're an abuse victim. And that's why they're in your head so much. That's why you're looking on the internet for answers. You're looking on videos like these for answers. You're trying to find answers because these lot don't give you closure. They don't give you the answers. They know that. They know that. They want to scar your mind. They want to scar your heart. So that's why I developed a mechanism where when I used to get their thought in my head, I viewed it as it's an attack from the enemy. It's an attack from the devil. I didn't even view it as them anymore. So I started to associate them as a devil. You know, basically, I started to associate any thought to do with them as something to try remind me to let me come back in. And also we've got to be aware of the sort of magical arts these lot do, these dark arts they practice. They're able to send demons and stuff, even if it doesn't affect us as chosen ones and empaths, but they're able to send things our way to affect our thought patterns. And I'm not saying all of them do that. Some of you won't believe me, but that's what they do. A lot of these lot know there's a God and they practice dark arts because they use these spells and things like that. And I know it's like tales of the ancients, but a lot of these people do this stuff, you know. Whether in Hispanic culture it's called brujeria, or African culture is called voodoo, or other cultures it's called something else. They use these spiritual means to attack a person's mind, you know. So that's why we need to sever them at the root. Whenever we get a thought of them, sever it at the root. If you like the gym, you know, put some music on and go to the gym, go for a run, you know. Distract yourself with your purpose. That's how I've done it as well. How I done it. I was suffering with severe rumination about the narcissist because I had unanswered questions. I felt like I needed to speak to them. Once you lose the desire to want to speak to them, that's when you know you're along your way. You need to get to that point when you don't desire to hear their response anymore. You don't desire to hear what they have to say. You don't desire to hear them utter anything. To be honest, to hear them speak will make you feel sick. You don't even want to hear it because you just know it's lies through their teeth. If we go back to that world where we settle for what the narcissist says, we're going back to a world where we're dumbing down our consciousness and we're dumbing ourselves down to believe their lies. And I know that world might seem more appealing if you're in a painful place right now. You know, that world might seem more appealing to just believe the lies of a narcissist, but I don't believe we possibly can once we're this far in our journey. Once you're this far in this journey where you are too. Because you've awakened to they're a narcissist. You've awakened to they're a manipulator. You know? I should have got into this. I'll go into it now. But look, like, if the wounds are still fresh, and there's no time zone for me to say the wounds are still fresh realistically, because someone could have been out of this 2 weeks and someone could have been out of this a year or onwards, and the wounds can still be fresh regarding how severe the impact was of the narcissist on you, you know. So I'm not going to put a time zone to make anyone feel a way about, you know, like, the wounds can still be fresh years on if you haven't healed enough yet. Or you haven't healed as others do, I should say. You haven't healed as others do. But what I found is helped me tremendously was going abroad and working abroad. You know, I was still ruminating about the narcissist, and they never wanted me to work abroad because they was afraid I'll cheat. And you've probably heard me say this story before, so I'm sorry if you've heard it before, but I'll just mention it for those that haven't. I went and worked abroad in Belgium just before coronavirus. I was there about 3-4 months, and it got cut short, sadly. Well, coronavirus happened. It was out of our control, but it gave me that time away where I focused on work. I was living in another culture. I was eating, sleeping there. I remember the first restaurant I went to, I remember thinking, I wish the narcissist was with me. That's how I still wasn't awakened to narcissistic abuse there. That's what I was thinking in my head. You know, this would be nice if I was with the narcissist. That's what I was thinking. That's how delusional that was. But over time, when I was there, I started to adjust, and I started to realize, I started to realize my value again. You know, it just distracted my mind. Being there was a distraction. I had other things to focus on. If you're sitting in your four walls, there's nothing wrong with that, because some of us heal in our best way when we go into our cocoon. Some of us go into our cocoon and we emerge as a butterfly, and it's really beautiful. But sometimes someone else might not do so well being confined in their cocoon. You know, sometimes someone else needs to be in another environment. So I'm just suggesting maybe go into another environment if it's possible, if it's by your means to. Even if you take a little holiday, a short trip away, do something. There's nothing wrong with traveling solo. And I had this conversation today. There's nothing wrong with traveling solo. You can actually have some of your best experiences traveling solo. You know, it's actually, just research it online. They always say type in why traveling solo is better than with a group. And it will give you all these reasons. And you're like, yeah, you know what? It is better. And I know I've gone off topic here, but what I want you to try and do, and I should have probably mentioned this earlier, I really should have, but you need to focus on your purpose and your meaning. Your meaning and your purpose is being revealed now to you through this spiritual awakening. It's a spiritual awakening what you're going through. You're going through an awakening. You're being rebirthed. You're going to now have a newfound spirit, newfound discernment. You're going to see things differently. And these ruminations will fade. They will fade. I promise you, they fade. You know, even when I make these videos now, it's not even like I even think of the narcissist as such. You know, sometimes I have to reflect on things as memories and lessons and stuff that I use in the videos. But I don't even picture the person. It's just like part of me now, you know. It's just part of who I am and where I've got to. But some of you lot are really hard on yourselves. Like, you're so fresh. The wounds are so fresh. You're going through so much hurt, and you're being hard on yourself for wanting answers or for thinking about them too much. And I promise you that it will fade. Just let God's in control. The universe is in control. And it will fade. It's going to fade with time. I told you, it becomes a reflection. You will start, and I should have said this as well. See, I keep saying I should have said this. What I mean by reflection is, you look at how far you've come. You look at how much you've been through. And you're like, wow, I actually made it through this. I actually got to the other side. I actually got this far. And you reflect and think, and you start to think, how was I so naive? And that will become your ruminations. You'll start to think about stuff like that. How was I so naive to the abuse? But with that, there's a lesson in that. So I wouldn't even say that's a bad rumination. But a bad rumination is thinking of the good times, you need to cut that with a knife. You need to slice that and cut that out of your mind like a lobotomy. There's no good times with a narcissist. I don't care how enjoyable they were. They're deceivers, they're liars, they're manipulators. There's no good times with a narcissist. You need to extinguish that from your mind totally. But if you're having, like, I'll go back over it again, if you're having the ifs, buts and maybes kind of ruminations where you wish you could change something, you wish you could change this, you wish that you'd done this, I've had those. But I promise you that God is there for you. Even if you don't believe in God, right? The universe is there for you. I'm telling you, there's something out there greater than our intelligence. There's an intelligent designer, there's a creator, there's something higher up than us, and there's a divine plan being orchestrated for our well-being. And this is why we had to endure this experience. We had to endure this experience to learn the lesson of these people's existence in this world. We had to learn about these people's existence. And sadly, some of us have lost years, decades, but it's not over, you know? Like someone said to me today, they got knocked down, but they didn't hear the bell ring. You know, we got knocked down. Yeah, we did. But it's about how we bounce back from this. So do not be hard on yourself for searching for answers on the internet or searching for answers in videos, because these people denied you closure, right? But if you practice what I said to you and you try, when you're thinking about the narcissist, you cut the thought off and you say, no, that's from the enemy, because the actual motive of that thought process is to lead you down a sector in your mind, a neurological pathway in your mind, for you to accept them back into your life and accept them back into your heart. That's the whole idea with these whispers or thoughts, however you want to look at them. These thoughts about the narcissist, this rumination about the narcissist, it's a strategy, I believe, from the enemy to let them back in our heart. Because if we play over this thing in our head, play over this thing in our head, play over this thing in our head, eventually we're going to fold. And we're going to say, all right, you know, I just want them back. We're keeping them close to us when they don't need to be close to us anymore. You know? The further along in your healing journey, even the way that you view these videos will change. Even the way you take on the information will change. You know, you'll start to look at this in a different light. It will become a different view. You'll see things in a different way. And you've just got to let time pass. But remember, it's not your fault why you're thinking about them. You're an abuse victim. It's not a joke. You are an abuse victim. You have been through severe traumatic experiences. Some of the stuff you don't even realize happened to you because it was done covertly. You know, the reactive abuse, for instance, some of the times where you blame yourself for things. That's what I should have spoke about. I don't want you blaming yourself. That's another way the enemy tries to come in. It will make you blame yourself for things. Oh, I shouldn't have done that because that made them mad. Or, you know, that's reactive abuse. When you acted in a certain way which is not natural to the person you are, right? Or you showed them a side to you that you later regretted. You know, you might have not overboard, but you went for the kill. You know, you went for them, like, in however way. They provoked you to do that. They provoked you for a long time to initiate that response from you through reactive abuse. They've done this. They're strategic the way they do this. They know what they're doing and they love playing the victim. So don't ever blame yourself, right? I'll just recap. Don't ever blame yourself. If you're ruminating and blaming yourself, you need to extinguish that thought. Cut it off, right? If you're thinking if, but, or maybe and try and change it another way, you need to extinguish that thought and cut it at its root. If you're thinking of the so-called good times, right? If you're thinking of the so-called good times, there are no good times. Don't replay them in your head. That person was a counterfeit soulmate sent your way for your destruction. There's no good times. We was asleep to the abuse. That's why we thought they were good times. We were so asleep, but now you're awake now. Now you've spiritually evolved. Now you see the abuse. So there was no good times. Don't let that fester in your mind. And if you're thinking of, what else is it? If you're thinking of the bad times even, if you're thinking of the bad times and how wrong you were done and how did you let someone wrong you in that way, how was you so naive, that's something you can build on, because that's the lesson. That's the lesson we needed to learn. Why was we so naive? That's what you're not now. You're not so naive anymore. You're able to spot red flags. This is your newfound spirit. This is your new eyes. This is your new discernment. You're able to see things now. And beware of seeing these toxic creatures in our families, in friendship circles, and other places. You're going to see them everywhere. So this is just your awakening to this existence of these beings in this realm. So don't be hard on yourself for thinking about them. Don't be hard on yourself for ruminating about them. Let time pass. God will guide you. God will guide you, and this rumination is going to become a reflection. I promise you, it will become a reflection. You know, remember those early days when you couldn't sleep and couldn't eat? Did you start getting meals down you a little bit later? You started getting meals down and then you slept through a full night? That's your healing taking place. Your healing's already taking place without you knowing it. You're healing at rates you don't even realize. Trust me, you're healing at rates you don't even realize. For the abuse you faced, to be here now on YouTube, actually studying, finding answers, connecting with like-minded individuals who have been through abuse, you're a step ahead of it. You're a step ahead of it, and you should be proud of yourself. So anyway, thank you for watching today. Please press the like and the subscribe button. If you'd like to donate to the channel, you can find a link in the description box. And if you'd like a one-to-one session with myself, you can also find a link in the description box. Currently, I've got the secondary channel, the spiritual channel. So anyway, I'll be back with another video soon. Peace.